Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last section of the day. I'd like to introduce the speaker in this section, Chief Executive Officer of Global Steering Group for Impact Investment, Mr. Cliff Prior, who is joining us virtually all the way from the UK. He's going to share with us on the topic, Journey of Impact 3.0. And joining us here today, I'd like to introduce Ms. Belinda Zhe, Head of Treasurer's Investment Product and Advisory of DBS Group, Dr. Donald Choi, Chief Executive Officer of China Chem Group, and the facilitator of this section is Mr. Francis Ngai, Deputy Chair of Social Enterprise Summit, Hong Kong. Now, without further ado, let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Francis Ngai to come on stage to introduce this section for us. I pass the stage to Mr. Ngai.
Oh. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Cliff is not here yet. Good morning to him. So thank you so much for joining this years of summit again. And thank you for staying till the end of the day. 15 years. I think it's been a long time. I have the privilege to witness the development of the social enterprise sectors in Hong Kong. So some people, when I arrived, they asked me, hey, what do you think about social enterprise development today? I would say if we just look at the number of social enterprises today, I would say maybe we are failed. We're not that many of them. But I think look at Hong Kong. The scene when comparing to the other place of the world, the other cities in Asia, Hong Kong's social entrepreneurship development has been successfully break through and penetrate into different sectors. Imagine how many corporates have been collaborating with the social enterprises. Today we have a lot of corporate today, like DBS, Nanfeng, and China Chem, a lot of them actually did a lot of collaborations with the social enterprise sector. And actually with social entrepreneurship, many policymakers, as you witnessed, they participated in different ways in discussing about the social solutions together with the social entrepreneurs. Even the more traditional nonprofit sector, they all taking a chance of doing social enterprises, seeing social problems, and their own organization's development very differently. So in a way that, if you ask me today, the impact participants right now today is not just those social enterprises, as you name it, but I think there are a lot of different sectors, many different stakeholders are now participating in this impact well. I would say we should congratulate the Social Enterprise Summit. Thank you, Rebecca. And of course, the founding chairman, Jane, all these years in putting all of us together. The collaborative atmosphere, I think, is somewhat the other countries will envy us as well. So I think with that, I would say we have to congratulate all of us today. Many of you have contributed in these sectors altogether. So today, the sections is called the Journey Impact 3.0. Don't ask me what is 1.0 and 2.0. I will pass it over to Cliff to explain more to you. But I think to me, the number 3, to me, I think I would say in the last 3 years, we have lost some time. I think because of the pandemic, I think the societal challenge has been increased. I think Cliff and maybe the panelists will talk more about our global climate challenge. I think we are getting more severe. So I would say we have lost some time in the last 3 years. Why we need to leapfrog, why we need to have today's sections, I would say, how can we catch up with the time? How can we catch up with the 3 years that we lost, I think is somewhat the focus of today. So Cliff, I'm not sure whether he is here yet, but I think he is here already, right? Oh, hi! You pop up. So I have to, seeing his face, I think it's turning the clock back to 8 years ago, right? When you were the first time coming to Hong Kong. I would say, I would introduce Cliff as a long-term friend, an old friend of Hong Kong and Asia. He has been with Asia for quite a long time, working with different stakeholders. Somewhat we are in common, I think he himself was a social entrepreneur, is still a social entrepreneur. I think he has been doing an impact incubator for a long time. And then right now, playing a role in rejuvenating the impact investment well. So somewhat quite similar to us, Social Ventures Hong Kong, we are playing different role, trying to be a social glue to bring different sectors together. So I would say today, what we can hear from Cliff is a more three-dimensional perspective about social entrepreneurship or the impact world. So, Cliff, good morning. So
Good morning.
Hi. So the next 20 minutes, I'll pass it over to you. As I said, we don't know what is 1.0 and 2.0. So right now you talk about 3.0. So I'll pass it over to you and explain more. And later on, there are two key respondents will be on the stage as well, so we can interact later on. So Cliff, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Francis. Really great to see you again, and delighted to be part of this this SES conference. So yeah, I'm Cliff Prior. I'm CEO now of the Global Steering Group for Impact Investment, the GSG, and I'm really delighted to be back with you. I thought it was 9 years. You say 8 years. I need to check my calendar. But I'm amazed and overjoyed at the growth and scale of your work here today, and because we need this, because the massive problems that we're seeing now demand a new wave of innovation and enterprise and scaling for impact, and that for my book is the task of this 2022 conference. From the climate crisis to the SDGs, from COVID to the consequences of wars, we're seeing floods and fires and scarcity of food and fuel, harms across continents. We really must act to our very best. So let me describe the journey that we've been on, the full scale of some of the changes ahead, and the new ideas and innovations that we need to solve them. First of all, maybe I should say where I come from. I'm a born and bred Londoner in the UK. My first social enterprise at college was at university, and frankly, it was rubbish. I learned from that. I learned from that experience. And a few years later, my second social enterprise was much better. And a couple of years after that, my third was very successful, providing safe and supported homes for people living with HIV. And then in the next decade, I was running what became the world's largest social enterprise support agency, known as Unlimited, and then running the world's first wholesale impact fund, and now CEO of the Global Steering Group for Impact Investment. So to all of you out there, just thinking about creating your first impact enterprise, or just starting your first project, just know this: you will learn by doing. And every success and every failure is just one more lesson, one more skill that you've learned. Or at least that's my journey. So, okay, I should tell you about the Global Steering Group for Impact Investment. We bring together influential stakeholders from public and private sectors to shift economies towards positive outcomes for all people and for our shared planet. We connect a diverse global impact movement covering now over 60 countries, each representing all of the stakeholder groups that are needed to make sure that capital flows towards positive social and environmental impact. And that covers the demand for capital, that's the enterprise side, intermediation, supply of capital, the investors, government and regulatory work, and also the advisory sector, the lawyers, the accountants, the communications experts, all of those. So we try and get a balance across the whole of the sector in each country. We also develop initiatives to boost impact and positive outcomes. Impact tools, for example, like results-based finance, what used to be called social impact bonds, where investors get repaid based on the achievement of impact goals, social goals. Another example, wholesale impact funds. I mentioned Big Society Capital that I was CEO for a while. And now Portugal, Japan, South Korea, Canada, and Ghana all have these wholesale funds running, and there are several more in development. This is a really important area because having a domestic, a local pool of capital for impact allows you to take risks, to be a beacon in the field for impact investing. And then there's our latest tool, financial mechanisms to address informal settlements, slums, favelas, refugee camps. There are now more than 1 billion people in the world with no settled home. That's 1 in every 8 person having no settled home. So then we look at policy tools, influencing the G7, influencing G20, the COP series on climate. Last year, we built a G7 impact task force, and that covered development of global standards for impact, regulatory reporting systems, impact valuation, putting the positive and negative of all listed companies, and then with a second stream of work, mobilizing capital for emerging economies with a just transition approach. Just transition, what that is about is recognizing the economic and environmental side, the social side, and the community voice when you're doing major programs. It's what the JET projects are doing, the just energy transitions from coal to clean. I'll come back to those shortly. They're really important for saving our planet through climate mitigations. So this work on the G7 task force, it went way beyond our expectations, far more influential than we ever thought possible. So some of its work, the International Sustainability Standards Board has started. Now that's creating a single global system of standards for impact. At the moment, there are dozens, hundreds even, of sets of standards, which is just chaotic and creates a lot of friction. And then the GSG network of countries will be collaborating so that the design of these standards are genuinely global. They're right for all kinds of countries. On impact evaluation, a new foundation for the valuation of impacts has launched. It's collaborating with other agencies in this field of work and with companies that want to test out the approach ahead of time. So what is impact valuation? This is putting the positives and negatives in monetary amounts on climate and social issues from your company. Just imagine a future where companies don't just have profit and loss, they have impact, profit and loss, so that what they do on the environment and society is visible and paid for. So, impact investing. Impact investing has developed. It started with small-scale funds investing in new social entrepreneurs. That was where I started. Oh gosh, 15 years ago now. It's still crucial work. At the same time, at the start of something that will grow big, or maybe it's some area of work that needs very deep support for very specific needs. It stays small, but it's vital. That area of social entrepreneurs, social investment, that's, to my mind, I call that Impact 1.0. And then things have gone on to larger funds addressing bigger challenges, homes, health, education, transitions to clean energy, the billions, even the trillions that are needed for climate measures. In the UK, almost all of the big financial organizations have impact funds, or impact loans, or impact banks. And this is what I would call Impact 2.0, the second step of impact. And now we see the latest changes, where impact tools can be listed across any publicly listed company by taking the shared data that is visible because it's a public company from reporting which is becoming regulated, and to see the positive and negative of every company and every investment. This is Impact 3.0. Now these three areas, they don't replace each other, they add to each other. We need all of these areas. The size required for a solution is the right size for that situation. So this is major development, and each country around the world is at different stages from 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 that I'm using here. But it's important to look at the challenges as well. And the challenges remain. The climate crisis is here right now. It's not waiting for us until 2050. We've seen wildfires in the United States, in Europe, in Australia, worst of all, the Siberian peat forests. That's burning huge amounts of carbon that used to be permafrost. We've seen floods in Bangladesh, in India, in Australia. 40 Celsius is now the summer norm in Europe. 50 Celsius is becoming a new norm in India. 55 Celsius is the point at which human life cannot survive, not even in the driest heat. Just think about that. 200 million people in northern India who could not get the heat out of their body. Every breath they took was yet more heat getting into them. And just think about the floods in Pakistan this year, 1/3 of the entire country underwater. And it's a level plain, so there's no high land that you can run to. Think about the extreme drought which affected nearly 1/3 of China this year, emptying the reservoirs. These are once-in-a-lifetime challenges. And I'm afraid if you think this is far away from Hong Kong, please don't. These kinds of changes will come here too, unless we stop the climate change happening. As you may have heard a few weeks ago, the scientists are now saying that we're not doing enough, that the goal of net zero by 2050 is no longer feasible. Well, we need to change that. So let's come to the SDGs, the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which seek to achieve a better future for us all. But they've gone backwards in COVID, and we're now massively off track on livelihoods, on education, health, you name it. And then, of course, as if we didn't have enough on our plate, the man-made disaster from the Russian war and the Russian invasion of Ukraine that's gone on to create a global disaster, adding pain across the world, because Ukraine is the breadbasket of the world. So the Russian war is creating harms for everyone, with food insecurity, fuel insecurity, fertilizer insecurity, broken supply chains, inflation, and more. Here in Hong Kong, you're relatively sheltered, but in Southeast Asia, in Africa, in so many places, there will be famines, hunger, and desperation on a level not seen since World War II. 1.5 billion people are expected to be in hunger this year, a doubling of the people in absolute famine, and an increase in carbon emissions. So look, I'm sorry, I'm telling you about pretty desperate circumstances, but I don't want you to feel helpless. We are not helpless. All of us can make changes. We can make net zero feasible, from coal and oil to solar energy and wind energy, from reducing methane from farm animals, switching to plant diets, reducing waste, creating circular economies, supporting biodiversity to protect our oceans. So many innovations, and many of you will be the innovators that create the new solutions. None of us are helpless. All of us can make a better future. Every action that we take will help. And I know that you as social entrepreneurs and their supporters will do everything you can to protect people and to save our shared planet. I want you to find solutions because you're the people who will address these challenges into the future. Difficult times generate new innovations. And as the saying goes, storms make trees grow deeper roots. The tougher it gets, the tougher we get. So what are your roots? You're the innovators, you're the social entrepreneurs, the people who imagine future solutions and make them real. Maybe in this hall, you are also the angel investors, the funders that can take the best ideas up to scale, breaking through some of the barriers. Perhaps you're from government or regulatory agencies, making sure that the policies are in place to make it easier for vital innovations to arise and grow. You may be focused on agricultural technology, using less fuel, fertilizer, or water, by pinpointing when it's most needed, or developing brand new food approaches. You might be focusing on clean energy to the front line, so people don't need to chop down trees to burn them for firewood, creating opportunities for enterprise, selling your goods online, creating education opportunities, being able to read and learn because you have electric power. Perhaps you're focused on refugee challenges, like the Refugee Investment Network, working on the causes that create refugee situations, as well as their integration into the future. Maybe you're thinking about nature-based solutions, restoring mangroves in watercourses to reduce heat or reduce floods, or building resilience against climate change, adapting to the new realities, infrastructure to reduce floods, forest management to reduce wildfires. With a gender lens, recognizing that women are half the world and will lead some of the very best and most powerful enterprises. Collaborating with other agencies with different tools so that you can surround a problem with so many different angles that you really make a lasting, systemic, transformative change. Now notice that all of these areas of work combine. They combine with climate and social issues, and this is the new reality. Climate change is now the biggest harm to people across the planet. Climate change harms people. Social factors and climate factors are inextricably linked. We see this with the JET projects. I mentioned them earlier, just energy transition projects, from coal to clean energy. The first of these are in South Africa. In South Africa, there are 150,000 coal miners. 130,000 of them are in just one province. So the government has to consider closing mines, reskilling miners, what happens with all the families, repairing the land. There's a combination of environmental action, socio-economic action, and community voice. And it will be an example of how that social enterprise level 1.0, the big investment 2.0, and the impact transparency 3.0 comes together. Just energy transitions. The next after South Africa is Indonesia. After that, Vietnam, India, Senegal, in many emerging markets. And then, of course, there's the policy and the back office work, the science and research and communication that can make changes happen. Having that access to research can really speed up a social enterprise. Climate and social education to encourage entrepreneurs like you to act. Research to inform entrepreneurs, to deliver what really makes the difference, ensuring that every decision of companies and investors is identified for positive or negative impact. Making impact a currency. For so long, it's been like pushing a boulder uphill to get a company to do good. And with the new approach of global standards and impact valuation, it will be rolling down an easy hill, a new financial world order. So whatever your passion is, health, education, homes, elder care, children, gender, poverty, alleviation, climate, oceans, nature, the technicalities of the new world order, as an inventor, as an innovator, as an entrepreneur, a funder, a market builder, follow that passion, follow your skills. Do you know, there's one enterprise that everyone in this hall has, and that's the enterprise of each of you. The enterprise that is you. That enterprise is your life and your work. How you develop your skills, how you find the colleagues that you need, how you may stumble and fall and fail in your early efforts, and then stand back up to learn from that fall. How you don't give up, how you use every step forward, every step back to be ever more confident, ever more competent. It starts with the enterprise of you. So what is the enterprise of you? What are you going to do with your life? Is that enterprise of you an impact enterprise? I really hope so. It's not an easy journey, but it's so fulfilling. And I can vouch for that personally. And we need you. This is our shared challenge. This is your opportunity. Build your own strength. Take every step back, every step forward, another learning point. Build the solutions for the people and our shared planet, which we need so very, very much. Thank you. I'm wishing I was with you in person today, but that's a lot of carbon that I haven't burned, so that's helpful. We all play our part. Thank you, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Prior. Please stay with us as we will have a keynote response very soon. And I just caught a line just now that you said that the tougher it gets, the tougher we get. So there's a similar Chinese saying that goes, 越cường越强, right? That's the kind of the mentality we look for when finding solutions to tackle these problems and create an impact. Now, with that, it's time for a keynote response by Dr. Donald Choi, Ms. Belinda Zhe, and Mr. Francis Ngai. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming them to come on stage. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank you for the inspirational sections. We should start with the key respondent, but I have one personal question for you, Cliff, if you don't mind. Before they respond to this, I think it's just we're quite similar in a way that we keep on shifting role. So can I tap with your brain on your own impact journey? So what keeps you going? Where is your motivations coming from? You keep on having great energy. Or are you still hopeful? Or is it somewhat related to you keep on shifting the role, finding somewhere? Can I tap with your brain on your own impact journey about this?
Well, Francis, I wasn't expecting that, and that's a very big question. Look, I'm just curious for the next opportunity to do something good, and I don't know where that comes from. It's just inside me, and I suppose that the thing that's changed for me, you know, back in my very early days, university days, and a few years afterwards, I was quite a purist. You know, I thought if you were going to do good, you had to do 100% good and nothing less than that, and you had to be, yeah, absolutely right in everything. The world knocked that out of me, and particularly now, seeing the climate crisis and the social crisis and how that comes together, I suppose the one thing that's really shifted for me is don't be a purist. For example, ESG finance. It's nowhere as good as impact finance, but there's 36 times as much of that kind of finance in the world. So even if it's only half as good, it's still 18 times as much. So, you know, I think I see things now as I see the goal, and I'm not going to be, as I say, purist in reaching that goal. Sometimes we have to, you know, work with what we can get in order to achieve these immense challenges that we all face.
Yeah. Thank you, Cliff. So I think in your speech, I think in particular, I was quite struck me. It's I think in the past for quite some time, when we talk about planet issue, it's planet issues. People issue around the society is people issue. But I think what you said, I think right now, planet issues, climate change is coming to us. People or planet, I think we should see that in a holistic ecosystem view. So with that, I think very happy that today we have two key respondents here. Thank you so much, Belinda from DBS Bank and Donald from Chinachem. So basically, for Cliff, for your information, so we got quite a lot of land resources and money resources on the stage right now. So I think we can have very interesting discussions later on. But with that, I think, please, maybe Belinda, you can go first with 5 to 7 minutes of respond to what Cliff said, and what you can introduce what you have done with DBS Bank. Thank you so much.
Okay, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Belinda from DBS Bank. I'm responsible for investment product and advisory. Thank you, Cliff, for your very informative sharing on Impact 3.0. I think it's a very inspiring. I think, you know, in the investment world, we have heard a lot of chaos recently, especially year to date. And the most recent chaos is on the crypto exchange fallout, the FST, FTT, and all of this. You know, it's quite interesting. It inspired me to think if people are pouring billions of dollars into the, you know, crypto or into the exchange, What if they spare a bit more to help the planet, to help the society? That will be fantastic. And this is exactly what DBS has been doing in the recent few years. Francis just said that there were loss over 3 years, but I want to share how DBS has built our capability and our effort in supporting the society, supporting the entrepreneur, supporting the corporates, and helping everyone, helping the earth. Okay, so first slide, you can see that our DBS group actually published the first, sustainability reports in 2021. And this is the picture show our CEO, Piyush Gupta. He actually identified the most key important urgency is on environment. Okay, so to address that, we actually come up a lot of strategies in helping the staff, helping the entrepreneurs. So let me go to the next page. And this is a very important slide. In these slides, you can see that we have come up with all the strategies, for example, from our corporate. Just in 2021, we have sponsored 30% from the loans. We have sponsored 30% of them to support the renewable energies, green financing, etc. Okay, and also, you have seen the right-hand side, the bottom one, for the DBS staff. Actually, we encourage 100,000 hours of the volunteer works for over, DBS staff. It's a very meaningful one, okay? And that's internal. And again, for the society, for the, small business, actually, DBS has set up 100 million Sing dollar fundings to support the Asian market to have a better life. So it's all very meaningful strategy. So this is just one of the few highlights I want to share with you. Okay, and so what we have done in 2021, and of course, when Click talk about the green financing, you can see the list of here are all what we have achieved just for financing the corporates in helping them to conduct a lot of green, projects, okay, or clean energies. And it's all very helpful. And and everyone will say, okay, now from investment perspective, the investment market is so bad. With all this spent, actually hurts the DBS share earnings. I can tell everyone, actually it's not. In fact, I want to share, and I think many people in Hong Kong probably doesn't really know about, Singapore market. So I'm happy to share with you, if you have some idea of a Singapore share market, DBS share price. In December 31st, 2020, our share price was around $25 per share, Sing dollar. And guess how much it's now? Today, as of yesterday, it's $35. Year to date, it's up 8%, okay? And then for the whole year, return is 9%. I'm not saying that this will help the share price, but as Cliff said, if impact investment is part of the financial reports, and it's going to be transparent, I think the effort that DBS has built in recent years is really recognized by the shareholders and by the board and by the investor. They recognize how DBS has spent the effort in this regard. Okay, more than that, I think what we have been doing for investment perspective, okay, for the individual investor, you may say, okay, then all these are very corporate, but how about myself, my own investment? Are we doing, what are we helping the whole societies? And this is just how we build on the ecosystem on the digital platform. We call it Live Better. Live Better is a very interesting concept. We built it on our DigiBank app. Okay, there are a few items I'd like to share. The first item is actually you can see that people can actually see, tips once a day, okay? And the second one is we can actually tell you a lot of Live Better stories, okay? And, like for example, you have heard this morning or this afternoon, the sharing of all the small entrepreneurs of what their ideas and how to save, food waste, etc. It's all built in these stories. And and our customer can just log into the app and have a look of it. And also, we can, one of the most important items, of course, is Invest Better, built in the Live Better, app. Okay, so it's a very interesting, things that to create awareness. So what is Invest Better? I just use a very quick, summary to let everyone know. Invest Better in Hong Kong, SFC actually has a definition of what is so-called as ESG funds. I'm happy that the regulator is actually looking into that and have standardized it. And so that the fund managers or the fund industry, they can actually to tell the investor what is so-called as the ESG funds. And we actually build that into the system. But more than that, for the Live Better funds, we also identify, we use the MSCI as a rating agency to come up with the ratings of all the stocks and all the funds, to show people what are the ratings of all the funds and the stocks and the securities. Okay, so you can see that for the efforts that we are the first bank to use MSCI as a standard for customer to choose, and from the app they can actually see the ratings. What are the ratings? If the ratings is triple A or double A, it's called the industry leader. Okay, and if it's a triple C, then it's a lagging one. So it's very easy to understand. So I really agree with what Cliff said. We are not helpless. As long we, every effort we make can help the earth, can help the society. Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda. I think what I want to adding on regarding the DBS Bank, I think in the region, I think we all get to know DBS has been very active in the social entrepreneurship. Well, I think many of you will have been worked with Amy, Tricia, and Matthew and the team as well, we as well. So I think thank you so much in putting your effort in the society. Donald, over to you.
Right, very honored to have the opportunities to share with you some of our work and how we would like to make more contributing on the social impact. Is there a slide? Right. Oh. Okay. All right. I think, public developers are sometimes perceived in Hong Kong as the very antithesis of sustainability and positive social impact. 無良地產商、地產霸權, I think those are, the general perception. But with a change of mindset, balancing profit with sustainability and social impact, turning profit into impactful profit, as suggested by Clive, developer can also take a leadership role in sustainable development and be a positive force in creating social impact in our community. According to the World Green Building Council 2021 annual report, buildings are responsible for almost 40% of global energy-related carbon emissions and 50% of all extracted materials. By 2060, the world's building stock will double, with a sustainable or substantial increase in materials used for building and construction. Despite our investment in energy efficiency, the building and construction sector's energy consumption and CO2 emissions have rebounded from the COVID-19 pandemic to an all-time high. So really it's urgent for us to do better. In Hong Kong, it's not surprising that the building sector accounts for the lion's shares of energy consumption. Activities in buildings account for 90% of the city's total electricity consumption. That translates to 60% of its greenhouse gas emissions. It follows, therefore, that green buildings are a vital part, and if we developer can do better, we can really contribute to a sustainable built environment. And that is why, developer has a big role to play. At Chinacam, we make this not only just a business strategy, but a core ethos of the way we operate by placing social and environmental values on an equal footing to profit. We call this our triple bottom line. And to us, people, prosperity, and the planet all matter equally. We are committed to creating social value, a better world for everyone. To translate this into action, we chart a progressive roadmap called CGG 2050 plus, targeting to cut our group's carbon emission by over 50% by 2030 against the base year of 2020. We are the second developer in Hong Kong to have obtained the Science-Based Target Initiative approval for our decarbonization targets, and we are quite literally building on our commitment to green development. For example, again, our Tung King Street development with URA, the Urban Renewal Authority, we are the first private residential project to use modular integrated construction, or MIC, along with other green construction technologies. And this practice will enable us to achieve a 68% cut in construction waste, a 75% reduction in noise pollution, and lower carbon emissions. We are also the first developer to introduce the entertainer. Not changing, I think. Here we go. Well, we are introducing, the entertainer's battery system, smart kind of a green energy system alternative to the diesel generators. And this actually was an invention by a Hong Kong startup and offers cleaner and quieter construction power to the site. Of course, creating greener building is only a first step to sustainability. We also need to make them more livable or, kind of enable to meet the needs of our community. So enhancing healthy aging and aging in place is also one of our core value and objective in future development. We have commissioned the Hong Kong Jockey Club Institute of Aging at Chinese University to undertake a 5-year research project from which they can produce a design guide for healthy living environments and architecture. Our Mount Anderson residential development will be the first beneficiary of these findings and pioneer a community of all ages. The study will be published as an open source design manual to inform and improve on residential architecture, both here and abroad. It's also our belief that sustainable development can extend to old and historical buildings as well by preserving the city collective memories in the central market projects, which we are opening and operating on behalf of the URA again. We aim to create a positive value for the wider community through placemaking strategies. Our goal has been to turn this 80 years old Grade 3 historical building into a playground for all that is socially inclusive and creates a sense of belonging for young and old alike. Building on the premise that is first and foremost a community space for all to enjoy regardless of their ability to spend. And, for example, we have actually, designed a tenant mix to deliver social impact by creating economic opportunity for small and local enterprises. And we encourage local community groups to use the space for meetings or organizing events. We also provide pilot projects for local startups to test products, concepts, and services. Very much like Cliff's earlier comment that every success or failure is another skill learned. These are but a few examples of how Chinacam Group is trying to be proactive in fostering sustainability and social impact. And I hope they will help illustrate the developer can and indeed must play a leading role in helping Hong Kong and the world meet his sustainability goal. As Cliff rightly observed, we have no time to waste because the climate crisis is with us already, and we cannot wait any longer to act. By working closely together with our team members, partners, and community, we can help solve the challenges ahead to build a brighter future for our people and our planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donald. Thank you. So I think as what we observed in the corporate world today in Hong Kong, at least. I think there are quite a lot of you, like Belinda and Donald, they have been trying different attempts to doing more, no matter for our planet or for our people. So I think that's also tapping with what Cliff said about the 2.0 and 3.0 development. Apart from what we do ourselves, can we build a bigger collective? So in our journey in Social Ventures Hong Kong as well, at first we are just doing one project at a time, more project type. But later on we see that how can we build a bigger platform? So apart from social enterprising, we need to get the corporate work harder, enterprise go socializing as well. I think it's very important as well. So right now we are trying to joining the dots like what Cliff has pointed about as well. So I think with that, I would see that right now we have a movement in Hong Kong called Business with Purpose. We're working with Hong Kong Management Associations, trying to mobilize more corporate to work together. So with that, I would like to maybe tap with Cliff's brain and your response to the respondents' responses. And in a way that there are some property developer and banker over here. If for you to suggest a way, how can we collaborate in a way to connect us together, what we should do, and immediately for the next steps, can we tap with your brain and see what pragmatically we can do a bigger impact with the resources that we have right now? With that, before you respond, I think I encourage you prepare your questions. There should be a QR code that you can log on to submit your questions. But later on, I will ask for you, if you are physically here, you can voice out your questions later on as well. So do prepare. Cliff, can I get your response to them as well?
Yeah, well, look, I think they're already very much on the right path. I mean, I thought it was very interesting hearing from Belinda about, you've got the big scale of finance, but also that app where people can contribute. It's micro contributions, but many millions of people with micro contributions equals a lot of change. So really, really fantastic to see this. And Donald, as you say, construction is such a big deal, particularly in major centres. We have this in London as well. And what can we do? We can't just stop constructing, because people need homes, people need offices, people need factories, etc. But what you're doing by reducing energy, reducing the level of extracted materials, and creating spaces for the social entrepreneurs who may be the innovators of the future, I think is, this is the kind of thing that we need. It's not saying that, oh, we must support social enterprises. It's not saying we must support the big asset managers and banks on climate. It's not saying we should do it with major companies, construction, and other sectors. It's actually all of that. It's all of that together, and bringing together the kind of task force that encourages new ideas, a sharing of good ideas. This is, I think, really, really positive. So, Francis, I think your job is now much bigger. You've got to convene so many more organizations, but I guess that you're already onto that.
Thank you. Big pressure. So, but in a way that right now what we talked about is creating system change. So cross-sector collaboration, I think, is one of the key. So I think I would like to tap with all your brains. It's in a way that how can we make it smoother to collaborate with different sectors, especially from the government. I think right now the new government of Hong Kong has been up to their positions. So I think what pragmatically you are expecting the government can do more. Just for information, so all the policymakers has left. So you feel free to voice out anything. We won't record it. No, we will. But I think any expectations from your sectors and seeing what the government's role can play a bigger way to create more cross-sectors collaborations.
Well, we are very encouraged by the policy address, talking about providing better environment, livability, and a smart Hong Kong. And again, our CE has indicated that, the approval, the work process, all of them will be streamlined to assist, the community and society to move forward. Again, from just these last few months encounter with building departments, lands, development bureau, and so on, I think there is a change of mindset. They are now looking at their role as facilitator rather than just a regulator. I think this is very, very much appreciated.
Yeah, great. Belinda?
Yeah, I think the regulator can do, actually do a lot more proactively to support, the society and support the bank, especially having a clear guidelines. And I think, recently, for example, we launched a green mortgage for our retail customers who are buying the buildings with a green concept. And I think this is a very good start. And to start making the society, everyone work together and understand the importance, yeah. So I think we should do more in these directions.
Cliff, any good advice from you in a way that if you are the policymaker, what you can do more in a way to rejuvenate the impact space?
Well, look, governments tend to respond strongest if they have a collaborative group asking for the same thing. If you go individually, you're probably, maybe you have a polite conversation, but nothing very much happens. If you can bring up an entire sector together, working on impact and sustainability, you're much more likely to get some value there. I just take the example, for example, of what's happened in the UK scene, where we used to have a social enterprise field, then we had big society capital, which was larger scale, bigger scale further came along, and the government asked a task force to look at this. We combined that with the Global Steering Group, National Advisory Board, and now we have the Impact Investing Institute UK, which has the level of authority to engage with government, to come up with the really good ideas, the innovations that are going to make a difference, and to do that across the piece, from the smallest social enterprises right the way through to the largest asset managers and asset owners. That's really important, because then you can get traction, you can get change. It can be difficult to bring together such different actors, but it's necessary. The challenges are there. We have to be bigger than the challenges, and that's our opportunity now.
Thank you. There's one good question online, but I would like to leave it till the end. But I think so. Right now, I would like to open to the floor. Is anyone coming here physically today would like to ask any questions? Please just raise your hand. Edwin, thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Edwin now from a local green group, the Greener. I would like to ask whether the developer industry, would they now started to use, say, concrete, cement? They can absorb the greenhouse gas during the curing process and use low carbon reinforced steel bar that to reduce the carbon emissions that you just mentioned that from the construction industry. Thank you.
Donald, I think you are the only one that can ask that question.
I think the Hong Kong Green Building Council has started to give green label to concrete as well as steel reinforcement. So definitely, the consultant as well as the developer will adopt some of the standard in their tender specifications. I'm not sure if the material in terms of concrete absorbing, CO2 are well developed at this stage yet. But obviously, new materials will become available, and I think the developer the industry will welcome those green materials. And again, in a lot of the certification, including BIM+, LEED, wellness, and so on, many developers now are actually adopting the certification, so ensure that their building meet the sustainability requirement.
Thank you, Donald. I see one hand at the back of the stage.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the panel, and Cliff, thanks for very good advice you have. My name is Koh Sing Chun. I'm from Dignity Kitchen, Singapore. My question is regarding the ESG board. I understand there's a stock exchange board, social enterprise board in London. How is that performing? And does social enterprise can go and approach a board to raise funds for their social good? And has it been very effective? Thank you.
Yeah. Linda, can you?
That's for me, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, this is Mr. Cole. Big hand to Dignity Kitchen. Welcome back to Hong Kong.
Okay, I think I'm not from the bond desk, so I probably cannot really answer your questions. But as far as I know, green bonds, DBS has helped to issue for I think 30 billions in 2021, and this year probably a lot more. Basically, it's whether it's a perform good or bad. I think bond is is also impacted by the yields and the interest rates. And so if the interest rate hike, of course the bond price drop, and then the green bond cannot get away from it. It's still an investment market performance, put it this way. I'm not sure whether I answered your question, but if you could leave your message or your contact, that I can get our corporate colleagues to answer in more details. Thank you.
So Cliff, anything adding from you at the moment on this question?
I mean, one thing I would say is that we're seeing one jurisdiction after another, the introduction of taxonomies, particularly around ESG finance, whether that's in ESG bonds or other financial instruments. So the US is working on their taxonomy. The UK introduced one just 2 days ago. EU has been working on it for some time, and these are just giving greater credibility to some of the 36 trillion US dollars of ESG framed assets. So it's been a huge rush of ESG, and now getting into the regulation, making sure that if you say you're fully impact, you are. If you're sustainability, you are. If you're not even trying, then you're not. So that's very important to have.
Thank you. So there's one question coming online. I think it's any thoughts or advice on strengthening the impact business and impact investment or management via tech enabling in Hong Kong? We all get to know that, for example, Cyberport Science Park has been doing quite a lot. So is there anything that tech enabling is happening in the industry that you can observe that around impact that we can build up more links with?
Well, I think technology and innovations, they definitely has a big role to play in future in enabling. We will do better in sustainability. Again, the Hong Kong Science Technology Park, as well as Cyberport, other government tech fund that actually encourage a lot of R&D and startup. So now is how to turn those R&D research into actually commercializable products.
Linda, anything from you? Any fintech is working towards these directions that you can work together?
Yes, I think Hong Kong is just finished, just completed the FinTech Week a month ago. And in a lot of concepts, actually, it's aligned with what we try to achieve, ecosystems, everything, try to digitalize and then start up, sponsor the startup and sponsor the, even including a lot of younger generations, they want to use more technology ways to support the society, it can also be part of the innovation and fintech. in a way. Like, for example, you see the government, sponsor the virtual banks. Why? Because the virtual bank, in a way, is try to attract the younger generations and try to, paperless for a lot of things. And so the direction is there. But I think, one thing that we need to try to avoid is greenwashing. I think it's another hot topic, to not to fall under the trap of greenwashing by using the name. Yeah.
Thank you. So setting technology aside, one thing that we observed, maybe the financial institute like a bank can work more on, it's how can we attract more different sources of capital? So apart from impact investing, even the Hong Kong government is talking about attracting more family offices coming to Hong Kong. Because in family office, I think apart from doing investment, they will also do quite a lot of philanthropy thing. Like Chinacam, you are having your philanthropy arm as well. So how can we, in a way that build up more blended capital? Whatever it works, it doesn't really matter whether it is an investment or philanthropy. How can we rejuvenate the whole ecosystem? I think that would be also one.
For that one, I like to share that I just spoke to one of the very reputable fund companies. And you know that in China, they have a missions to have a new carbon by 2026, right? So it's a lot of projects going on. And they estimate there are going to be millions of green jobs in the markets. And so a year ago, a Chinese investor wants to that very reputable fund company to set up a funds and just to invest in China, the concept for green concept. And the fund manager reject. No, really, you want to sell the fund manager will say, of course, welcome the capital in, right? And I asked what's the reason, and the reason is because they haven't enough sufficient of the companies for them to invest in China. So they turned down the opportunities to set up the funds. But after the policy come out from China, and recently they started to help the investor, to the client in China, to set up the funds. So that means a lot of focus is coming back to the Asia and then to China, and to look after, to sort after the opportunities, investment opportunities, and also attract the capitals here. So it's a very good directions and trends.
Right. Thank you. With that, Cliff, is there any observations globally that you can add on to this?
Well, the role of families is enormous, and and somewhat perverse, because in Latin America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, the majority of the family money is not in their own country. It's in one of the big financial centers. And that rather depletes the funds that are available within their own continent. There's been a flight of capital during COVID, and then now with what's looking like it might be a global recession. So that adds to the problem. But I think that we shouldn't just give up on that. It means that we have to go to those financial centers to talk to the people who are managing those families, and to understand what can be done, what they can do, what they can contribute to the climate and social issues. So as ever with this, it may be a tougher job than we thought a few years ago, but it's a really important job. We just have to do it.
Yeah, thank you. So one last question from online. I think it's in particular I would like to address to Cliff, that what would you like to see as Impact 4.0?
Oh, what a brilliant question. Oh, that's tough. That's really tough. Well, look, thank you for that. And I don't know. I think we are. I don't know whether this is a 4.0, but I think what we are starting to see is a level of innovation that is utterly transformative. I'll just give an example. A lot of decarbonization has gone into lithium-ion batteries. If you've got an electric car, you've probably got a lithium-ion battery. There are now, almost every week, I see another better electric battery system, cheaper, less likely to burn, because lithium is quite a challenging substance. Less extractive to mining. Almost every week, as I say, we see a new major innovation. We're seeing innovation in food and farming. We're seeing innovation in work on oceans and nature-related finance. It's not, in a way, it's not surprising. You get the new wave of innovation when there is a major challenge, whether that's the COVID crisis or whether it's a recession. New innovation comes in. The key thing then is really good venture capital to spot the innovations that can get really large scale, and to have the money to do that. So I would say the most important thing for a 4.0, if we call that, is it's back to venture capital to get those innovations to the scale that's required.
Thank you. So I think one clear message in these sections to me, it's we all play our own role. We all got our own capability. We are from different sectors. We are in a way, we can mobilize different resources that we can have. So I think I see that social problems or our planet problem is like the holes on the road, big or small. On the bad side, we might falling into the hole. We're suffered. But in a way that we can attract people coming around the hole, try to provide solutions, try to think about what we can do about it. In a way, it's a reunion of the human being again. So in a way, to close the sections, I would like to tap with one last thing from every one of you, maybe one line or one word, that I was particularly impressed about what Cliff said about the enterprise of you. So let's, at the moment, forget about where we came from, which sectors we are, your title. As an individual, as a citizen, there are a lot of them over there as well. Can you provide them with one advice, what pragmatically you want us to do way forward to encourage us? So Donald, can we start with you?
We are all responsible, and I think it matters what we do individually.
Belinda.
DBS has the foundations, and we are here willing to help you. Just come to us.
Cliff.
I would love to see, maybe it's already there, but I would, if not, I would love to see an impact task force for Hong Kong. Bring all the actors together.
Thank you. With that, I think it's a perfect closing of the sections. Let's give a big round of applause to all our speakers. Cliff, thank you so much. We're looking forward to welcome you back to Hong Kong again very soon.
Thank you very much. Another big round of applause to our speakers on stage. Thank you very much, Cliff. We'll send you out there. Thank you very much, Dr. Choi, Ms. Set, and Mr. Ngai. Please return to your seats. And thank you for letting us know how to create social changes and impacts from the perspective of the banking and developers' perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, today's section has come to an end. Thank you once again for your participation and also for your innovative ideas this afternoon. Once again, we greatly value your feedback. So if you don't mind, please take some time to fill in the feedback form by scanning the QR code on the screen right now. Let us know what you think about the policy dialogue, panel discussions, and also the keynote sections. As a reminder for participants who have borrowed a headset for the simultaneous interpretation service, please return it to the SI counter at the entrance. And the second day of the International Symposium will be held at 10 a.m. on the 4th floor at Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Centre. 再次感謝各位參加社企民間高峰會2022，今日嘅活動嚟到尾聲，再次感謝大家嘅參與，希望大家可以用幾分鐘時間掃一掃屏幕上面嘅 QR code， 話俾我哋聽你寶貴嘅意見同埋填寫問卷。For the guests who had registered for the dinner to remember, please gather in the foyer of Hall 5G. Our event helpers will lead you from there to the venue at 6:30, 6:40, and 6:50 p.m. Once again, thank you for your attention, and we'll see you tomorrow.